Good Wednesday morning. Happy hump day to all of you around the world today. You're watching Project Joy Live, and it is Wednesday, May 17th, 2023. Anybody have any trouble getting to sleep last night? Let me know if it's just me and Brittany or everyone else around the planet too. Because sometimes we get like that. We get in this vibe with people and we all start having the same experiences and we don't even realize until we talk about it. So let me know if anybody had trouble specifically getting to sleep last night. I need to know if I'm alone today, okay? Because I'm very tired this morning. But I'm really glad on this tired day that I do not have to share the screen alone because Miss Brittany Floyd, Miss Sacred Yin Secrets herself, is back here with me today to talk about self-care. So with that, let's bring her back on the show.
Hey, it's Brittany here, your favorite moderator, and you are watching the Breakthrough Show Network.
Welcome back, Miss Brittany.
Hey, good morning.
My favorite moose.
Yes. By the way, I'm loving the robe. It's given very, can't touch this.
Yes, that's what we're doing. This morning, we're talking about self-care. So we thought it would be fun to actually implement some self-care while we are talking about self-care because we don't just talk about things on this show. We walk our talk. Isn't that right, Miss Brittany?
That's right. Where's your bell at?
Oh, damn it. Okay, I'm not prepared. Hold on. Restart. Welcome to Project Joy Live. Today, Brittany and I will be talking about self-care. And isn't it right that we walk our talk on this show, Miss Brittany?
Absolutely.
Oh! Sometimes we need a redo. But listen, I'm super excited about doing this episode today because I'm going to start out with having a little bone to pick about self-care. And so this doing the self-care while we're on the show is going to help me pick that bone a little bit. So should we jump in and get started and then talk about the
absolutely.
Okay. So why don't I know you were preparing for this episode today. And what did you end up finding out about digging into the definition of self-care?
Okay, here I have self-care. Definition 1 is the practice of taking action to preserve or improve one's health.
Okay.
The second definition I have here is the practice of taking an active role in protecting one's own well-being and happiness, in particular during periods of stress.
Very nice. Very nice. Did you notice in those definitions, Miss Brittany, that it does not give this is what you have to do or not do?
Yeah, I noticed that.
Yeah, it doesn't say that. So this is where my bone to pick about self-care comes in. By the way, you guys, I am doing a French pink clay peel off mask over here this morning.
And I'll be using this Indian healing clay here.
Oh, yes.
Yes, I'm just going to be mixing it with water, but usually I do it with apple cider vinegar to get the full detox. But today we're just going to do water.
That's all right. That's all right. So a couple years ago, towards the beginning of the Project Joy Live journey, I planned on talking about joy and self-care. And the interesting thing is I always love when I'm going to plan to talk about something and then something comes into my awareness as I'm scrolling mindlessly through social media. And there was a meme about in a whole long post about self-care is. And it started off with this whole thing about what self-care is not. It said self-care is not bubble baths and face masks and eating chocolate and all of this thing. Self-care is saying no and healthy boundaries and balancing your checkbook and getting your room clean and all of these things. That's like, I got really angry when I saw that, Brittany, because I was thinking to myself, we have enough issues bringing ourselves down for literally everything that we do.
Hmm.
And now we're going to choose to implement whatever we need to feel good about ourselves, to do that self care. And someone's going to choose to make a whole thing to tear down those. We might be grasping at straws. We might be struggling to live life. And you're going to pull me down for the fact that I decided to take a bubble bath today.
And that's the problem. I think that everybody's self-care looks different to everybody, right? But it's just also with I think I was looking up is that saying there's 7 different pillars of self-care. And it's not just emotionally or mentally, it's physically, it's all of that. So I there's self-care looks different to everyone, and I'm kind of disturbed also a little bit when somebody says that that's not what self-care is, and it is.
Self care, I think what both Brittany and I are trying to say is whatever it needs to look like in the moment for you. There are some days, and I've shared this, I've been very candid about this on this show, where like this show is about joy, right? There are days that I wake up in the morning and I am having a hard time myself tapping into that feeling of joy, because that's a very human thing to go through. So there may be days when you that when there that post in particular that I'm thinking of, you might be struggling to create those boundaries. You might be struggling to balance your checkbook, to clean your room, to whatever else, and all you can allow yourself to do in the moment is to pick up a little chocolate bar and grab yourself a little square of dark chocolate. That might be all you might be able to grasp onto.
Yeah,
And we don't need to be tearing each other down for doing whatever we need to do in the moment to take care of ourselves.
yeah, absolutely. I absolutely agree. We definitely don't need to do that.
No tearing each other down. Don't do it. Miss Angelique is here this morning. Good morning and happy hump day to you. She said she had a very sleepless night too. I think once I was asleep, I was out, but I just really had trouble getting there. I
Yeah,
really did.
same.
It was pretty rough. And I'm like, what is going on? So I go and look at my, astrology and see what's happening over there. And or the new moon's not for a couple of days, so that's not an excuse.
I know that Jupiter just moved into Taurus yesterday, I think it
Mm,
was, but I don't see that being a problem or an issue with me sleeping. I don't know. I couldn't sleep. I couldn't sleep
yeah,
very good last night either.
yeah. So my mask has to dry right now, and then I'm gonna have to peel it off, and I don't know how that's gonna go live on air. Is yours a wipe off or a peel?
Yeah, mine's a wipe off, but it takes like 20 minutes to dry, so
Yeah.
it will be after the show though.
Yeah, probably so. Um, yeah, mine is supposed. Okay, what's it say here? It says 10 to 15 minutes, or until dry. It's fairly cool. I keep my room fairly cool down here, so I don't know. It could take a little longer, but we're gonna find out. At any rate, what did you? Uh, I wanted to start by talking about what self care used to look like for us, as opposed to what it looks like now. But I think a better place to even start, because as I was thinking about this question, I'm like, I don't even think as a young person, whether I'm talking about childhood, teenage years, or even into early adulthood, that I even really thought about self care intentionally. What has that journey been like for you?
I would say the same. You know, we're like twins.
Yeah. Separated at birth. Remember
Here we
we talked
go.
about this?
Yeah. I would say the same. I didn't really think of it. As a matter of fact, I didn't even used to do face masks when I was a child. I didn't
Mm,
do any of that. I think the most of self care that I did was taking bubble baths because that's always been my piece. That's always been a day for me to just, even as a child, just to relax. But that's about it.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
wasn't until actually a few years ago that I really started truly taking care of myself
Yeah.
intentionally.
Yeah, I think it was very similar for me.
Oh, she froze.
Interesting part of this. So am I back?
Yeah, you're back now.
Oh, okay. It's weird because the last couple of days when you guys are talking about me freezing, I'm like looking, I'm like, what's going on? And I don't have any like indication that I'm having issues over here. So I don't know. We're too powerful for the internet today. Um, so
Nothing
I
unusual.
huh?
Sorry. I said nothing unusual.
Right? We're gonna shut it down. Uh, at any rate, I um I think back to being younger, and I'm actually in the process of writing a collection of short stories about growing up with my grandparents. And one of those short stories has to do with seeing my grandmother's morning routine, and not really understanding, appreciating, or even realizing what she was doing for herself until I got much, much older. And it's interesting to look back at that because she really was adamant. We talked a little bit about boundaries yesterday. And briefly mentioned it today as an act of self care. But she really had that strong, like, this is my morning routine. Do not interrupt me. Like, this is what I do to take care of myself. And she had that strong, like, and she was never disrespectful about it. She was never like, if there was an emergency, if there was something I really needed, she would pause and take care of me or whatever I needed. But I just knew not to interrupt that time, that time was sacred for her. And she would do her exercise and she would take her vitamin, and she would always read her Bible every single day, and she would have her prayer list because everybody knew that Marge had the direct line to God. So if you could pray, but you also had to go to Marge because Marge would have she would have the direct line, make sure those prayers got answered for you. And so that was just her, that was her precious time. Sometimes she would say the rosary. It was just her time for her, and every now and then, like, she would switch things up, but then she would come out and she would have breakfast and things like that. But I didn't really recognize, I don't think I was ever taught, like,
Yeah.
outright, make sure you take time for self-care.
Yeah. I think I wasn't either. So then now I'm like very adamant with my kids
Mhm.
about, skin routine and all of that because, I was never taught that as a kid either. And just taking time for yourself. And it's okay to do that. And it's okay to be like, hey, can you, give me some space? I need this time for myself. And I'm very adamant about teaching because it wasn't like that for me growing up.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. Yeah, I'm sure that I saw my mother doing a my mother had a very specific, like, beauty routine. Angelique's talking about, as a teenager, I had a daily beauty routine: Noxzema face wash, Pond's face cream, and lipstick with nightly roller sets on my hair. And see, I have
that's a vibe.
that's a whole vibe right there. I don't think I've never been a routine person. That's why I'm still blown away that one of the number one compliments that I get from behind the scenes of the show from guests that have been on, they're like, Jessica, you're so organized. We get our calendar invite, we get our graphics, we get everything posted, and we're tagged and all this stuff. And I'm like, really, truly, like, that is not me. Like, I was not born a routine scheduled person. And so even when it comes to things like self-care, consistency, I recognize, has always been a really big issue for me. Like, finding something I like and sticking to it. But my question is that really, is the consistency of the specific thing necessary, or is it the consistency of self-care as a whole that's necessary?
Me personally, I think the consistency of self care as in a whole,
Mm.
because I'm sure you're very much like me, as we've already discussed.
My
Not
face is
every.
getting real. I'm having a whole facelift over here, by the way, you guys. I feel it every word I say right now.
Me too, me too. But every day looks different. Every day of my, every day I feel differently. So, some days I may just self care for me may just be laying in bed and watching TV and eating chocolate. And then other days it may be this and it may be, that's just every day is different for me. So I feel like the consistency part of the self care, it's not necessarily the routine.
Yeah, yeah. As I reach over and take a bite of my raspberry chocolate over here. Um, yeah, I think I've had to give myself permission because, again, just like that meme, a lot of times when people talk about self care, they talk about it, and I think they have the best intentions, right? But they talk about it as a very consistent practice and being able to repeat the same things over and over and over. And I think when it comes to maybe meditation, for example, as an act of self-care, I could see the value in that. I can see the value of trying things for an extended period of time, but I also don't ever, for me, I don't ever want to feel that pressure like I have to stick with something for the sake of consistency.
Yeah. They say when you stick with something, it creates a habit, and maybe that's what they're going for when they're talking about that, is making it consistent to form a habit for yourself.
Yeah.
But some, like we've talked about, self care is such a broad, on the broad spectrum, that it may look different every day.
Yeah.
So, mm,
Yeah. It may look different every day. It may look different every moment, depending on what it looks like. So now that we've kind of established that we didn't have, um, you know, that outright, you need to practice self care instruction as when we were younger, where did you pick up the idea that self care is important? Do you remember?
well, through that, just honestly online.
Mhm.
Honestly, through social media, I found out that how self care is important, and also, just doing little stuff for yourself and how you feel afterwards as well. So, not only, that's where I first picked it up, was probably social media, I want to say, but also implementing it as well. So,
Mm. Yeah. It I
what
think
about for you?
Yeah, I think I picked a lot up online as well. When I think self-care for me was one of the first pieces that I picked up for myself in my personal and spiritual development journey. When I share about when my brother died and my life changed, it changed because I made that decision to start taking care of myself, however that looked like in the moment for me. So I don't think I taking care of myself and the act of self-care, I'm not sure that I put those pieces together when I made that decision, but self-care became, and coming up with routines for myself and making it an intentional practice came at the very beginning of my personal development journey. And I think that, as we talked, I think that's why I'm so sensitive to that meme that I talked about, because back then I was grasping for something to make me feel good in the moment and go like to pull me out of this dark space that I was in when Adam died. And in that realization that I hadn't taken care of myself, that I was wearing not a real suck your face in mask. Like, oh God, I'm having a
My
whole,
mouth's starting to dry, so you're gonna see my cheeks go.
like I'm trying to, I can't even smile big. I can't even smile because I feel like my cheeks could come off. Okay. Um, but I I was grasping for things to make me feel good, and I think so those feel good things were the things that I reached for first, with whether it was getting out, I was in a low place of depression, whether it was getting more regular showers, or you know, trimming my hair a little bit more, or you know, allowing myself to have that piece of chocolate without guilt. You know, and but I had to, I got caught up a lot in trying to compare my routine and what I wanted things to look like with what other people were doing, which was kind of an issue. So um uh Angelique's talking about following Operation Nikki on Facebook. She has a self-care routine that's out of this world. She's so organized and inspiring. And I think for me, like I had to kind of get away from watching other people's self-care routines because I was comparing myself too much to that. And I really needed, and this is like my biggest recommendation to everybody, is to actually not do that. Like, really do that inner work that needs to be done and sit down and go within and ask yourself what you would want. There's nothing wrong with grabbing ideas from different places, but sometimes when we're in that really low place and we haven't even figured out what we might want to do, it can be hard to not get in that comparison mode and go like, oh, this is what it looks like. I don't have time for that, or I don't have the money for that, or I don't have the energy for that, or you know, and being able to relate to what they're doing. So I really had to do a lot of self discovery, and that's always what I've recommended to coaching clients throughout the years, is to take that time and go through like a discovery process, you know, like do a skincare routine. If that doesn't feel right to you, um work on creating healthy boundaries. If that doesn't feel like right to you, go through a whole process, buy 10 different bars of chocolate and find one that you like. Like, you got to go through that discovery process to find that. And I think we'll end up talking about a little bit about a discovery process when we have our show tomorrow too.
Yeah. Mm. I would have to agree. Like it doesn't. I would. I lost my train of thought again. Let me just take a sip of water.
Okay. Well, because we can't feel our face right now. It's
Mhm.
what's happening. Okay.
That's
So
what. That's
take a
exactly
little
what
bit
it
more effort.
is. I was gonna backpedal on what you were saying as far as then not having enough money. I know for me, watching a lot of self-care routines, I don't have them. I don't have the money for it, or I didn't do that, and then that would internally just make me feel worse. So I always there's nothing like a nice bubble bath. I think that's my favorite thing of self-care,
Mm,
a nice bubble bath, because then I could just let go of everything, turn on some meditation music,
mm,
some soft, whether it's sometimes even jazz, smooth jazz, whatever,
yep.
and just sit back and just relax. Even if it's only for 20 minutes.
Yeah.
That's nice.
Yeah, I love that. I think my favorite, and it's gonna sound really simple and really like, really, Jessica, this is what you're gonna pick. But I really, for me, I can't feel can't feel my face right now. Okay. For me, it comes back to the deep breath.
Yeah.
Um because even when I'm getting into other acts of self care, whether it's doing my face, um, going down to the beach, uh, eating a some kind of delectable food or snack, or drinking my water, or listening to music, I always notice myself taking that cleansing deep breath. And because you can take it wherever you go, you can implement it with whatever you're doing. And that's like, because I don't even think I realized that I wasn't really breathing before. Before I was focused on taking care of myself, I wasn't really breathing well. I wasn't taking mindful breaths. And one of the things I love is we have Jamad Kelly, the mystic Jamad Kelly, coming back on the Breakthrough Show Network. He's going to be on Project Joy Live next week. I think the 24th. Let me double check because I don't want to say something that doesn't exist. Yes, Wednesday, the 24th. Jamad is going to be back on the show. And he has, Brittany and I were listening to just a minute before the show, the Soul Message podcast now. And he always starts off the message with a breath, a nice, deep breath. And sometimes I love, first of all, I love listening to Jamad talk, but sometimes I love to just I'll go down and listen to the breath part of every single soul message because it's so good.
Well,
But
let's take 4 deep breaths right now. You
yeah,
want to?
yeah, that'll be awesome.
All
Okay.
right. Get comfortable there. And take a deep breath in through your nose and hold it and release out your mouth. Another deep breath in through your nose. Hold it and release out your mouth. Deep breath in. Hold it and release out your mouth. One more. And release.
See, don't y'all feel better?
I can even feel the tension just doing that. The tension in my shoulders has dropped. The I always have a problem with clenching my jaw, and
Yep.
it's released. Yeah, just taking those few deep breaths really
Yeah.
makes a difference. Yeah.
It can help you um, both regain focus, but also bring you that peace that you need if you have other things going on. Like, it's been really hard to focus on what I'm saying as my skin is getting tighter and tighter every moment that this show passes. But in those moments of focusing on the breath, like, my focus was not on my face. My, like, that even all of the things that I was feeling with having this face mask on, it just melted away. um and I think that it's just such an important thing. And so I think everybody should take lots of deep breaths today while taking a bubble bath.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. But it's important to go through that self-discovery process, like we're talking about, to really get in touch with those things that are important for you for self-care. Like the bath thing is really hard for me because of the fact that I have some really tough challenges with my spine. So getting up and out of the bath, like up and down out of the bath, is really, really tough for me. And it creates more stress for me. Now, I also want to make the point about self-care period, um be mindful that what you're choosing for self-care is not actually harming you, because I think sometimes we hear that treat yourself phrase, and it's not actually good for us. For example, if you had diabetes and you want to treat yourself, treating yourself by eating a whole cake is probably not a good idea. So you got to think about the long term of what you are doing as well, and making sure, is this actually a treat for yourself? Am I actually caring for myself in the actions that I'm taking? Because we know that there's a lot of things in this world that we could do that might feel really good in the moment, but the next day, not so much.
Yeah, absolutely.
Just FYI out there. I want to point out a couple things. Over here, I wish y'all had smell-o-vision out there, because I smell like chocolate right now in the best kind of way. I have these holistic natural lotion bars, um, that are absolutely fantastic, from Honu Botanicals. This is a friend of mine that has her business, and she's local to me here in Connecticut, just right down the road. I'm going to put her link in the chat for you guys, because 5 ingredients, and literally I've never used a lotion bar before, and I smell like a snack over here.
Okay. You're not only a snack, you smell like one. Ooh.
When you are snacking, you smell like one too. Hello, go get your lotion bar over at Home Botanicals. So good. Listen, Casey, thank you so much for these. And they're so cute. They're in little shapes, and we're over here by the sea in Connecticut. We're on the Connecticut coastline, and look, these little lotion bars, the little shell,
That's cute.
so
That's
cute. You want to smell like chocolate? That's all I'm gonna say about that. And they're so good. Like, I was telling Brittany the other day, like, I didn't even realize how dry my skin was until I started using that lotion bar, and it's like sucking it up. Like, give me more. Thank you for finally listening to me. That's it. It's so good.
good. That's all.
Um
Before we
yeah, go
before
ahead.
we close up, I have two little self-care quotes here that I would like to share with you
Yeah.
all. The first one, it says, "It is so important to take time for yourself and find clarity. The most important relationship is the one you have with yourself."
Mm.
And that's by Diane von Vers Furstenberg. I want to say that's how you pronounce her name. I'm not quite sure. Sorry if I pronounced it incorrectly. The second one I have here: it's not selfish to love yourself, take care of yourself, and to make your own happiness a priority. It's necessary. And that's by
Mm.
Mindy Hale.
I love that. I love both of those. And I think there was a quote that I wanted to share yesterday that had to do with self worth, that actually ties into self care and everything, as we're talking about stuff like healthy boundaries and things like that as well. And that's: the opinions of other people do not define my reality. So if someone says, your face mask, that ain't real self care. Your bubble bath, Brittany, that ain't real self care. Then you can tell them, your opinion does not define my reality.
Amen.
That's that.
That's it. Yeah.
Done. That's how it is. Really quickly, I want to talk about national days and birthdays. So, national day today, if you are from Ohio, if you're turning, or not Ohio, let me rewind. If you're from Idaho, It is National Idaho Day. I can't think because I can't feel my face right now. Happy National Idaho Day to you. It's also World Hypertension Day today. Make sure you are checking your blood pressure. I'm actually so thrilled. I've been so focused on whole foods, minus my little piece of chocolate over here. But I've been more focused on whole foods lately, and my blood pressure actually had come down when I went to the doctor. So I'm so happy about that because I've been living with high blood pressure for a long period of time. It was rampant throughout my family, so really important, especially if you have that family history, to make sure you're getting your blood pressure checked. Really, really important. Also, it is National Walnut Day. Do you like walnuts, Brittany?
I love walnuts. We actually have a walnut tree right outside, and although it's a pain in the butt to clean up all of
Mm.
them, it's it's interesting, and I love walnuts.
Yeah, me too. I love most nuts. If it was coming.
Yeah, yeah.
Do you know what the most disappointing thing on this planet is? We thought that when we got in Aldi's that it was going to we were going to be able to go get in the snack aisle and there was going to be some Aldi's nuts, and it's not. It doesn't say that on the jar. I'm very
That's
disappointed.
that's very disappointing.
It upsets me. It's also National Cherry Cobbler Day. I'm here for all the cobblers. And speaking of Jamad Kelly that I was mentioning before, Jamad made 3 different cobblers yesterday and put it in his Facebook stories. And I'm just telling you, that's rude.
So rude of you.
It's rude because I couldn't like get a bite.
Now you know how I feel every time you send me pictures of your cake and everything else that you make. Now you know.
It's rude. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, Brittany. Okay.
It's okay. It's okay. I forgive you.
Okay. All right. I feel better. Also, I feel like I could celebrate today because it is National Pack Rat Day. Thank you for having a day just for me. But you can solve that because you know what's coming up at 10 o'clock, Miss Brittany.
Oh, declutter for change.
Declutter for Change is coming up at 10 a.m. Eastern Time this morning with Miss Heather Clark, and she is issuing an official family decluttering challenge. We're gonna see how this works out for the next couple of weeks, but if you feel like this National Pack Rat Day was made just for you, then definitely tune in to Declutter for Change at 10 o'clock this morning. Yeah, it's gonna be amazing. Also, we have birthdays today that we need to celebrate. A lot of celebrities going on today. Bob Saget, who passed away last year, had a birthday today. Happy birthday, Bob. On the heavenly birthday list also is Bill Paxton. I loved him. Twister. Did you ever watch Big Love?
No, actually, I don't think that I have. Now you're gonna go make me go and search
Sure
for it
am.
so I can watch it. Yeah.
Sure
Okay.
am. That's a must watch. That's a much fun. Bill Paxton was an amazing actor. Loved him. So happy heavenly birthday to Bill Paxton. Also, Derek Huff from Dancing with the Stars has a birthday today. Candy Burris from Escape loved that band in the 90s, or that group in the 90s. And so happy birthday, Candy. And I am having a whole moment right now. We were having a moment before the show. The last couple days, a couple of these birthdays hit real hard. And today, the one that's hitting hard for me is the fact that Jordan Knight from New Kids on the Block turns 53 years old. That's all. Um, Enya, singer Enya has a birthday today. She's 62. Boxer Sugar Ray Leonard has a birthday. The celebrities in my life, Richard Koech has a birthday today. Kelchel Burke, by the way, is an amazing spiritual teacher. Definitely check him out on social media. A couple of school friends, Kimberly Summers, has a birthday today. And also, I have to do this really quickly because part of self care for me is being able to laugh at yourself. Um, And I want to wish a very happy birthday to my good friend Luann. This is actually a little way back Wednesday photo of us on Halloween, freshman year of high school, when I was Tim the Toolman Taylor. That's me on the left with a beard. And Miss Luann, you can't tell by her outfit, but we did go to Catholic school. As the slutty devil. So happy birthday, Miss Luann. I love you so much. And I hope you have an amazing day. And with that, we need to get our birthday song on. Are you ready, Miss Brittany?
Yeah, let's go.
Happy
Happy
birthday
birthday.
to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Bob Saget, Derek Cuff, Candy Burris, Jordan Knight, Enya, Bill Paxton, Sugar Ray Leonard, Richard Coe, Kelshel Burke, Kimberly Summers, and Luann Marie. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to all those that are celebrating today. I hope you have an amazing day. I have to go and peel this off my face now.
I know. When I try. Ooh. Ooh.
It's starting to separate. I can feel it.
This for whatever reason don't want it doesn't dry all the way, but this yeah.
All right, y'all.
Definitely.
Do some self-care for yourself today. Let us know what you do. You can start to see it separating. It looks like I'm about
I was gonna say it looks like I literally was about to say that.
Brittany, thank you for being here with us today. We're going to talk about connecting with your passion tomorrow.
Connecting with your passion tomorrow is what she said.
That's what
Thank
she
you for having me.
I hope you guys have an amazing day and implement some self-care in your life. I'm your host, Jessica Dugas, and I want to remind you to make joy and self-care a priority in your life today and every day. We'll see you tomorrow, everybody. Bye.
Bye.